today is actually just something that my family love and I've just made up. So it's organic chicken thighs and it's really just a stew. So it's super, super easy and I'll take you through the kitchen as we go. So preheat your oven to about 180 because I cook it on the stove and then I put it on the oven. My husband and I designed the house. Johnny's an architect, and because we both love to cook at the same time and we can sort of get under each other's feet, so that's why we did 2 of everything, which is great. So I'm going to put the oven on 180. And look, these ovens, I mean, everyone said, you know, get this brand, get that brand. But for me, these Electrolux ovens, and it's not an advertisement, are fantastic because you can put them on timers, they can switch on, switch off. They're so, so simple to use. The kids use them the whole time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the flouring of the chicken. It's hard to get away from plastic, but the most you can. Everyone can do something, you know, as my mum says, from a drop comes a waterfall. And you know, if you think that, oh, no one's doing anything about plastic bags, if you can start small and, you know, little things like refilling your flour. I go to Naked Foods and you just take a jar along and they'll refill your flour. So it saves on packaging. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the stove, crank it up, get some good heat going. I've heard, and this is only hearsay, don't you hate it when your stove isn't performing? But yeah, good olive oil. I sort of you'd swear I was Mediterranean, Greek, Italian, Lebanese, but I'm actually English and Irish. So a good dose of olive oil in the pan. And then what I like to do is I like to crisp these up and brown them. So a little bit of flour on each, and then you're going to be shaking it off. So just do that. And look, I make loads of this and then freeze it. And then if you've got nothing for dinner on a Sunday night, you can pull it out. Again, I like to store it in glass. The other thing is I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not, you know, perfectly neat kitchen. Can I tell you, after I finish cooking, the place looks like a bomb's hit it. But you know what? That's what I enjoy. I think cooking's about having fun. I only learnt to cook when I was 27 and I was living in Italy. See, you can hear it. You've got to listen to that sound. And once you get a bit of a sizzle, I'd only put about 3 in the pan at once. And the idea of cooking this in the pan that it will stay. So whilst that's cooking, I'll finish the others. But yeah, I'm certainly not a perfectionist, but I love to cook. And I love my kids to get involved in the cooking. I mean, my kids from a very, very young age have always helped me in the kitchen. And I think if you've got fussy eaters, and my eldest boy, Billy, who's now 6'2" and 85 kilos, you know, when he was little, he was painfully thin. And see, don't you love, I look so professional. But he was painfully thin, so I was always fattening him up. And the way to get him involved and stop him from being such a fussy eater was to get him actually in the kitchen cooking with me. With these thighs, I love to use organic. Do you know how many pesticides are on chicken? Do you know how many chickens are kept in horrible pens and are not free range? See that? That's not browned enough yet. You really want it looking, you know, pretty brown. You get some nice colour before you put it back in. Okay, so yeah, the importance to me of the right ingredients is everything. I think, you know, you've got to, I started eating organic about 20 years ago. I'm 47. So when I came back from Italy, nothing tasted right. So that's how I then became to say, oh, you know what? Something's got to be tasting better than the food that we're buying now. And that's when I got into organic food. I'm not fanatical about it. If my kids go and eat McDonald's one afternoon, I'm not going to have a heart attack over it. But you know what? It's good to try and be organic where you can. Now, if you look at this, that's good colour on these thighs now. I haven't put any salt or pepper in yet because I think, often you can over-season things, especially with the kids. Once that's finished cooking, I'll put the salt and pepper in towards the end. So that's cooking away. Organic is best. Organic flour. Organic where you can, because it actually tastes like real food. And I think, I nursed my mother-in-law who had cancer, and the research obviously is you are what you eat, and the most important things are really to think about what you're putting into your body without becoming fanatical about it, but obviously trying to choose the healthiest options for you and your family. Once these are brown, they don't obviously have to be cooked the whole way through because we're going to be putting them in the oven. We just wanted to get some colour on them. And this stew is so easy to make, and it can be made virtually sort of stuck in the oven, 20 or so minutes. Then, this to me is, you can see the way I love to store things. This 2 fridges, but I love to store things in glass. I try and buy, glass containers where possible. It's not always possible to have everything in glass, but I do love a full fridge. With this sort of dish, it's whatever you've got at hand as well. You don't have to stick to the ingredients. If I'm saying now to put in a red onion and you don't have a red onion, if I'm saying to put in garlic and you don't have garlic, it's not going to change the dish. And this is what this is about. Whatever vegetables you have in there, use those. I do like to have a base though of celery, onion and carrot. So once this is browning, there'll be quite a caramelised from the chicken at the bottom of the pan, and that's what you want. It's almost like a slight burning. Oh, that's a table being delivered. I've been waiting for this table for ages. Are you going to come up the side? Beautiful. There's always something going on in my life. I've been waiting for this table to get redone. Quick.
Oh, we can't be that quick.
Yeah, come on. My chicken's cooking. I'm going to be in trouble. So I've had this beautiful table since we were married. It's a Mark Tucky table. It's absolutely beautiful piece of wood. I've redone some things in the house, so I've just had it brought back, and it's black. So I'm hoping it's going to look good. I'm hoping it's going to fit in. So I'm pretty excited. I better go back and get my chicken. It's about to burn.
There you go.
Better make a run for it. Oh, didn't burn the chicken. Perfect. Okay. So once all of those are browned, then I'm going to do my veggies. I normally pre-wash all of my veggies before I put them in the fridge with the apple cider vinegar. I then dry them. Some, like the celery, I'll wrap in paper towel, but most of them I'll store in glass. So these ones just hadn't been washed. Now with this, I really love a cheap method. I'm not going to sit here and chop all day. This is for my family, this meal. I'm on the run, busy mum. So the best thing to do, I've got a friend that does all my chopping. So I'll show you that in a second. So as I said, you don't have this, use shallots. You don't have onion, leave it out. Like, don't be precious about cooking. And you know what? Cooking's all just about having confidence in yourself and thinking, you know what? I can cook that. That's not too hard. And cooking's about practice and experiment. Another thing that I hate is waste. Drives me insane. So what I do with any offcuts of the top of the celery, I have a box inside my freezer. That's Billy's fish food, which we don't really want to see. But this box, I put all the offcuts in, and then I end up making a stock. When I make a chicken stock or a vegetable stock, pull all those out of the freezer. They're all organic. Just tip them into a big saucepan, cold water on top, and make fantastic stock, which I then store for later date and later use. And I always have the stock at hand. Yeah, I'm lying. Oh, there you go. So this is, I always keep jars. This is one of my vegetable stocks, but I always have it on hand. This is just a reused jar. I never throw out a jar. A jar is like gold. You can reuse it for your smoothie of a morning. You can use it for so many things. Now, where's this table? Okay. Chicken's cooked, done. Okay. I do not, now there's a beautiful golden crust, which you have to come and have a look at that crust. Now, the other thing is, I don't like to peel the carrots. They're organic, they've been washed. Most of the nutrients are on the outside of that. Okay, so now I'll just get my friend to help me come and chop, because you know what, it's not about being a perfectionist chopper. This is my friend, and this is not an advertisement, and this is how I teach. Oh, here comes the table. Sorry. Chicken, you gotta wait. Holy Toledo. Okay, you gotta go left, guys. You go down that way. You gotta go left down this way.
What's the second time?
Don't worry, I've got this.
Straight.
Okay, got this.
Okay. 2 steps.
2 heavy breathers. Oh my goodness, it's very exciting. Bondi. Oh gosh, looks fantastic. Oh my gosh, great job.
Let me come down. Down.
Oh, looks good.
Looks lovely. Really good.
Black is back. Isn't there a saying about black? Once you have black,
you don't go back.
Well, I can't go back from this table now. It looks great. Now I'm cooking, but let me know when you're finished.
Yep, will do.
So we're back to my chopping friend. Anything like this is fantastic, because you know what? The kids can use this without cutting their fingers. So even if you've got little kids, it's great. What they do is you just chop things really roughly. So how easy is that? 2 seconds. This was designed very sneakily because all the garbage is kept behind the glass, and you don't see it. It looks really neat and nice, and it's really not. You'll also see I love a label. So there's the coffee machine labelled, the NutriBullet labelled, the toaster labelled. So I really do the plain flour labelled. I really do love a label. And that's just not with clothing either. Okay, so 2 seconds. It's not going to be, this can do core, spine, however, you know, whichever way you want it. And I've got that nice crisp that I started with before. And look how quick that is to chop. More olive oil, because there's quite a lot at the bottom of the pan, and that's what's going to give this all its flavour. So we've got putting in the onion, because that's going to take a little bit longer. But when you put the onion in with that olive oil, don't deglaze the bottom of the pan yet, but you'll see all that crispiness of the chicken. That's what's going to give it its flavour. So cook those, you know, for a couple of minutes, but then as you go, you can put your celery in. I don't like to put too much celery in, but you know what? This is where you sneak the vegetables in for the kids. They don't even know, because you're mincing them up like this. You can do this in a spaghetti bolognese, you can do this. And look, you don't have to chop. So this, perfectly chopped. With the celery, I like to do it quite a bit smaller. Oh, look at that, a sneaky bit. So, occupational health and safety. I'm only cooking for the family, so if I lick my fingers, don't tell anyone. Celery goes in. Okay, so now the carrots, same thing. I like to put a little bit more carrot in because it sweetens it up. You don't have to mince all the veggies. If you've got the time and you want to cut the carrot, cut it. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference to the flavour. I'm just in a rush, in between. Oh, see again, there's always that little bit. So good. Okay, carrots in. garlic. Do I or don't I? You could put the garlic in, a couple of cloves, crush it in now before you put the chicken back in. But Johnny is a bit funny about garlic. He doesn't like a lot of garlic. I know it's so good for you. It's great for your immune system. But I'm not going to put the garlic in today because, you know, he's travelling on the flights and, you know, no one likes garlic breath. I don't mind it. Garlic breath, that is. So now I like to put white wine in, but sometimes you don't have white wine. But I do have a small bottle of rosé open. So if I had champagne open, like last night I used champagne to put in a gravy, or so anything can be used to deglaze. I wouldn't use red wine though, white or rosé. A little bit in there. I'd probably put half a cup, but again, with these bottles, in the recycle bin. Once the alcohol burns down a bit, you can really, oh, smelling sensational already. Smelling good? Amazing. Okay, then when you put your chicken back in, and at this stage, you can do a whole heap of things. You could leave it as is and just put some vegetable stock in, or you could do what I'm going to do. So I'm going to rip off some parsley, a little bit of basil, not much because I don't want it to taste too. So a bunch of herbs. Now that's a really good tip with your herbs. So see here, I have these in my recycled milk bottles, but it keeps them fresh. If you put these in the fridge, they'll all be limp before you know it. No one likes a limp herb, do you? So keep... Oh my gosh, it's always my family, my mother. No, that's my general manager. I'm going to turn that off because I'm too busy. But you have to change the water quite a lot, because if you don't change the water, they go stale, and the herbs will wilt. So I actually sort of every day change that water, but it means you've always got fresh herbs at hand, and it looks great on the kitchen bench. Okay, so that's cooking now. So I'm going to whiz up these herbs again. I'm not going to chop them. Look at that, you'd swear I was Nigella Lawson or, you know, some fabulous Jamie Oliver chef. But that goes in. Now, if I had mushrooms, which I don't think I do, let me just check. And see this? Don't waste it. Pour your stock in there so it gets all those bits out. So that's just my vegetable stock that I'd pre-made, but if you couldn't be bothered making it, buy a good organic one. Pour it over the top of the chicken. This stage you could get a can of, well, not, I hate cans, but if you have a can of tomatoes, or some pulp of the tomatoes, or fresh tomatoes. So what I think, I'm just going to have a look in here, and I do have some mushrooms. There you go. Didn't even know that I had them. I've got some oh now you know what I haven't done? Salt and pepper. I've got some pre-cut shallots, because every morning the kids want an omelette and they want it with shallots. So I always keep those cut, but they're great to top on the top of salads. Put a few in there now. So this dish isn't about sticking to the rules. As long as you've got that glazed base with your carrot, your celery and your onion, then anything else, you can put anything else in. How's the table coming along, fellas?
Good.
Good. Fantastic. There's a number of different salts I use. So for cooking, I use an iodised salt, because for the children in Australia, we're very deficient in iodine. I love this. It's Herbamar. It's made from all herbs and spices, and that's what the kids use as an alternative to salt. But this is where you go mad on the pepper grinder. I used to have the most beautiful Alessi pepper grinder that I had from Italy. It lasted me years, and you've got to love a bloke on a tool. Look at that, my table's almost done. Hopefully it'll be in time for the chicken, but they won't. Last time I fed you that great bacon and egg roll, I think I might even have a...
I think it was last time.
I've got a beautiful piece of beef for you this time. I can make you a quick toasty. Okay, I'm promising you big things, you know. It's amazing what a good discount you get if you feed a tradesman. So yeah, a good thing of salt, stir it around. This chicken's not all covered. I don't want it covered. We're not making a soup. So if you just come in and see what that looks like now, we've got the mushrooms in there, the chicken, that will cook down. I'll probably cook that for 2 hours. If I didn't have 2 hours, I'd whack up the heat a little higher, but I'll probably keep it in there at about 170 for about 2 hours. It's all about your baking dishes as well. This La Crusade I got given for my wedding. It costs an absolute fortune, all this stuff, but a good heavy base. You want something with a lid that will transfer into the oven. I don't care what people tell you about slow cookers and slow roasters. I can't stand them. I don't think anything gives you that browning that a good heavy pot will give you. And then whack it in the oven and we'll see if the table's finished, and I might show you a couple more tips of my kitchen. Now, in a perfect world I'd have an apron on. But have I spilt anything? I've got the best housewife's apron. Do you want me to run up and get it?